Well, I think I would obviously, or I know for a doubt I would go, without a doubt that I would go for Christian. Yeah, because I feel like even if someone's...
But in reality.
Maybe like, who would you first approach? You know, like
Yes.
just looking
Or who do you feel comfortable?
Oh my goodness. Okay. If it's someone I would be able to have a lot of fun with, then it would obviously be the Korean person because their interests will most likely connect with me more. But then if it's someone where I would be having a lot of deep conversations with, it would be the Christian person. But personally, I don't think I'm the very outgoing type. I don't really like going out. I like staying home or like having one-on-one conversations with people. So I think I would choose the Christian friend over the Korean friend.
First, I'll gravitate towards the Korean person, but you know, at one point it'll be kind of a clash.
Become the opposite. Yeah. Kind of funny.
Obviously, it depends on, but naturally, I would be, drawn
Right.
to Korean. Given my background as a first generation.
There's something that also happens in the brain where you literally see someone that looks like you, and there's an instant feeling of, oh, I'm more safe. Or I'm known.
Right.
And so there's something that happens for you chemically too when you see something that looks familiar.
Did we want to take a moment to bring the food in? Or?
Yeah. And we're back.
Yeah.
With food. So, we were talking about the challenges of being Christian, Asian, North American youth. We kind of brought this up of like the clashes between these like Christian, non-Christian, and our kind of viewpoints in life through that. But have you guys ever experienced like being one identity is clashing with the other? Is that what we're talking about? Yeah, like being Christian clashes with your Korean American identity.
I feel like Koreans are very pragmatic people, especially because of just Confucian ideals of like honoring your parents, doing these things, and hopefully it's kind of like karma. Things will go back to you, and if everyone is nice, things will be great, and whoever does the most is the best. But because of that, but one of the founding ideals of Christianity is grace, and it gets really hard understanding a God who loves me and is proud of me despite everything I do wrong, especially because we're trained to see everything we do wrong, and even worse, what others do wrong. And that makes it really hard to show compassion because it becomes very easy to become judgmental towards others. And yeah, I feel like those two ideals clash a lot, and you talk to a lot of elders and they'll be like, oh yeah, you need to get to a good college, or you need to work hard and blah, 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 and you will be a great person. When in Christianity, it's all like, no, I designed you, and I love you, and you're cool, and you're great this way, and it's really hard to find a balance. I do think that duty is very important, and Koreans understand that very well. But at what point does it surpass what we should be really focusing on?
We follow the rules, we work hard. We don't like to express a lot, at least we don't like to express deeply how we feel, like how we truly feel to other people. We like to hide at least like the negative stuff. But at the same time, at least for me, I sometimes catch myself being very judgmental. And I know that's not the greatest thing, but I think that's like comes with my personality and how I grew up as a Korean. And just my history teacher last year, I bring up a lot of my teachers into this, but my history teacher last year, he was like, Noela, I realize you're very judgmental. And I'm like, and he said that, no, but here's the thing, he was like, in a good way. And I was like, I was confused too, right? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, you know, when you look at a person, you're not judgmental in a way like, oh, that person is probably mean or something, but I feel like you understand how that person's vibe, like, you know, and like, you know what group to stay away from, you know what group to be a part of. I said, oh, and he's like, then that's, you know, it'll come in handy, like when you're looking for a boyfriend, or if you're like wanting to join a group in college, you know. And I was like, that's interesting. It's just that it's not something that's like a challenge, but it is something I noticed.
No, it's like the dunchi.
Yeah.
We have the secret powers.
Yeah.
I think going off of your point, saying like how like Koreans are kind of, they don't really share a lot, they're not very expressive. I think that also comes with a lot of like history and the notion of the model minority or like the stereotypes that come with being Asian and how we're held up to these sort of standards and expectations. Like we're so up high on the pedestal of like groups of color and like with that standard and then kind of putting that with the standard of being Christian, being holy, being like this perfect kind of like person. And so like when you put those two together, it's kind of like, I have to be this perfect person. Like I can't like falter, I can't like sin, I can't do anything bad. It's like, that's I think what a lot of like my friends who are Asian kind of struggle with. But like for me, like being a Christian too, it's just kind of like double standards, like being a woman, being an Asian, being a Christian, being a teen too, all of these like negative connotations. But at the same time, people who look at us are like, oh, she's this perfect person. She's like doing all these good things, but when in reality, like I'm not, you know? Generational gaps are really, really hard to deal with, I think, especially when it comes to parents who have immigrated to America, who have these kind of ideals and like traditional like ideas of like what their children should be like. Like I picked up myself in my bootstraps, like you need to work just as hard or harder just to be successful. Like we're providing for you, but at the same time, it's like they don't understand what, I guess, not that they don't understand, but it's just like hard for them to realize like what is happening today in society, like how fast everything is moving, like whether like teenagers being involved like with activism, social justice, like politics and all that stuff. It's like where like the conversations sometimes get lost.
This is like just particularly being like Asian in like a school or academic setting. Like we said, like we work really hard. I feel like a lot of Asians, don't want to stereotype, but we are very competitive. We do work really hard, and it can be frustrating when someone is like, oh my God, or like Noela, she got a C on her math, so that's not physically possible, or you know, like you just feel bad about yourself. Like you hate that pressure of someone like, I can't believe you got this grade. No, like you should, you know, like, or they'll be like, Noela, can I copy off of your homework because you're probably right. You know, like it's frustrating. Like it's like I want it and I don't want it at the same time. Like I like the praise. Like, you know, like it's nice for someone to be like, Noela is super, super smart, or like, this person is super, super smart because they're Asian. But it's also frustrating when you don't meet that expectation. It's very painful, in my opinion.
Like I purposefully like put myself like showed myself or like put myself in a way where people won't ask me for my homework, you know what I'm saying? And I like, I'm not joking, nobody really asks me for homework. But in a way where like, even though I know like I can do it all and I'm pretty like, I'm not dumb, like I can, but I had to like go out of my way to make sure that nobody is trying to like, you know, like take advantage. Like that's what it feels like almost, you know what I'm saying?
My friends in middle school, she's Asian and she didn't get very good grades, you know, like it'd be like D's and C's, and a lot of people call her the dumb Asian. I'm like, I don't understand. Like,
so hard.
It was so hard, and she accepted that, and you know, like I think she has like multiple Instagram accounts, and one of them would be like dumb Asian, and I'm like, that's like, I can't believe she would accept that identity as someone just because she couldn't meet another person's expectations.
For me personally, I feel a call for a lot of volunteer work, and I love going on like mission trips and stuff. And so like whenever I can, I try to join like stuff that can have me actively help people. Like at church, I'm part of this ministry, and Joel's part of it too. It's called GM, where we help out kids with intellectual disabilities. And I really like being there, and I want to do more, but tying it in with the whole like Christian identity versus Korean American identity, sometimes I can't go to GM because I have to stay home and study. Because I have a lot of
How
APs
dare
this
you.
semester. Sorry, but
I'm just joking, dude.
sometimes my Korean side is just too strong. On one day my Christian side is stronger on another day.
A lot of people are really tired of getting sold Christianity, especially because commercialism is so big in America. People get Jesus shoved down their throat on top of a soapbox in front of the mall all the time, being like, Jesus loved you, or you're gonna go to hell if you don't do this, so become a Christian so you avoid this. But what we forget a lot is that we feel like, oh, he's just this loving guy and all he is about love, but then we look at all these atrocities in the world and it's like, oh, well, then that's where he falls short. And obviously he's a very multifaceted God. So that ends up throwing people off, especially those that have been hurt by the church. And it's like, how do we deal with that now? So, and as well as that, a lot of people view Jesus as like a golden ticket to get out. And it's really, instead of just trying to sell them Christianity, all the benefits, it's really going past that and it's really becoming a human, being all like, showing them the compassion. 1 Corinthians 12 talks about all these gifts that we are given. And I feel like a lot of Korean culture focuses on that. We are a peninsulan country. We are a very strategic landmark, a bridge from land to sea and sea to land. That's why Japan and China wanted us so much. And in order to defend ourselves, we had to become stubborn in a sense of everything that is mine, I must protect. And those gifts we focus so hard upon. But the very next chapter in 1 Corinthians 13, Paul says, above all that is love. Above all of that is love. And then what does James say? He says, let me tell you what love looks like. That love is compassion. That love, those acts aren't to prove your love. Those acts comes from your love. So it's really trying to understand that balance of, I'm not trying to sell you this. I'm inviting you to live something new, different from all the bitterness of the world. That's what Jesus was. And that's why he died. Because people in power saw that he was inviting people to live a different way. And what that ends up doing is that people in power are afraid of change. I'll just leave with this one last example. The parable of the mustard seed, we hear it a lot. Oh, a guy planted a mustard seed, it grew into this big tree. A mustard seed, it does not grow into a tree. Now, unless Jesus is an idiot, which we know he isn't, what the tree that he implies points to the cedar of Lebanon. And it's the symbol of power for all great nations. David's kingdom, Babylon, Rome. And Jesus is making fun of it by saying, this seed, I'm calling it actual strength. And that's like comparing an ant to a gorilla and saying the ant is stronger than a gorilla if they had a one-on-one fight. But the thing about the mustard seed is that it grows everywhere. And the thing about planting a mustard seed is it's actually illegal. You're not supposed to mix weeds with plants. So Jesus is already subverting all these rules that the Pharisees made. He's making fun of Romans. He's saying, let me teach you a new definition of strength. And in that same way, I feel like that's what living faith should be like. It's like, your pain is so real. It should never have been like this. Let me teach you something new.